What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Welcome to my page. My name is Ray Rob. What an exciting time in sports. I just want to get straight to it. Let's get to it. Let's talk about the college football playoffs. How about them Buckeyes, man? How about them Buckeyes, man? I'm really proud of them. They took a lot of shit from the fan base. I'm not even going to. We'll get to the media pundits and everybody else afterwards. But what Ryan Day and those kids had to go through is unnecessary. Now, I'm not saying you cannot be disappointed in them losing to Michigan, because I couldn't believe it either. Like I said, it's probably the worst. It's the most unexpected loss that I've ever encountered, being an Ohio State fan and us playing Michigan. I didn't see that coming. But that's what happens when you play tight. You play tight, you keep it close, but you can get tight, you know what I'm saying? That's what will happen. Thought they were going to blow them away. Pride is a MNFer. That pride, thinking you can just run, thinking you can just be tougher and you just feel like you can do something where it may not work, but you're just gonna stick to it because of the pride. That's what happened. I feel like their pride got in their way, and it also seemed to be the best thing that happened to them. That without being cliche, sometimes when you go through that kind of disappointment and failure, it makes you or breaks you. So they had to listen for 3 weeks. I have been going back and forth with a lot of Old State fans for years about Ryan Day. They saying like he's like John Cooper. He got some John Cooper tendencies. And you know what I'm saying? And to be honest, you know what it is? He just hasn't won a championship yet. I think he's an awesome coach. He's somebody that he doesn't run away from confrontation. Like he addresses it head on. Let's rewind a little bit before I go into my little spiel. So, when Urban Meyer left, now Urban Meyer, he did leave. So, it's Ohio State, so they definitely had talent. That defense, the year that Urban Meyer left, was horrendous. Now, they did get Hafley. Hafley and Schiano straightened it up. And, of course, they did have a monster by the name of Chase Young. Chase Young was on that defense last year. They looked terrible. And then after Chase Young left, they looked terrible the next couple of years. So even though the offense was very good, the defense was not good at all. And then it caught up to them. And then we got Jim Knowles. And I was a Jim Knowles fan because I was watching Oklahoma State, and I don't know all their players. I know they're not the most talented. I know they have pretty good players. But the way that they play defense, it looks like they were coming from everywhere. They were coming from everywhere, and the secondary had to hold up. And the secondary would hold up. Not to say they didn't have high-scoring games and stuff like that. So it took them a couple years. I still feel that the best defense is yet to come. Because shout out to the senior class. Much love to them. The redemption story, I hope they continue. And I hope they win it all. The boys sitting behind them are better. Have a chance to be better. They got some hungry dogs waiting behind them. And I say all this to say, everybody says Ryan Day was one on third base. That's the phrase that Jim Harbaugh coined. Not really. He was given a great program. But he helped with that too. Because once he started being there and quarterbacks saw how he developed QBs, the elite quarterbacks that were going elsewhere, the ones that go to the NFL, they started coming to Ohio State. Not to say we didn't get elite quarterbacks. We're talking about that quarterback that okay, they going to the NFL. Ryan Day. Haskins, that was under Urban, but Ryan Day was the quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. Haskins, rest in peace. Justin Fields came there because of him. Shit, Joe Burrow was there. And he ended up leaving. But he was there. C.J. Stroud, Quinn Ewers. Kyle McCord was a 5-star. I like Kyle McCord. I feel like State fans did him wrong too. But there was some kind of disconnect there. But that's all good. Julian Saint's a 5-star. St. Clair's a 5-star. Come on, man. And then receivers. We had great receivers. I'm not disputing. But the run that we've been on with Hartline, come on, man. But Ohio State had to go through what they went through and the conversations that I was having with fans, it's hard to adjust. We need to beat Michigan. I get it. But it's not the end of the world like it used to be. So you got to kind of adjust your mind to treat it like an NFL season. Like the Ravens losing to the Browns or Pittsburgh losing to the Browns this year. They still can go to the playoffs. They're still going to the playoffs. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, it sucks. And I know the rivalries, especially Old State, Michigan, is the elite rivalry, especially with Duke and North Carolina basketball falling off a little bit, and Auburn not being as good with Alabama and the Iron Bowl. But, man, the slander those kids went through, and Ryan Day. And then you can feel the tension. And then you can hear, like, when they played Tennessee, it was Tennessee fans, but it was also Old State fans. They weren't cheering for them boys. I know everybody says ESPN, they have their SEC bias, and they do to a certain extent. But that wasn't a all-the-way supportive stadium. That was a wait and see. And they took all of that, bottled it up, and started beating shit down people's legs. Belt to ass. BTA. And now the same people that were so vehement and abrasive in what they were saying, now all of a sudden they want to flip. And it's two things. Well, this is the team that they should have been that we thought they could have been. Well, you know what's a lot of talented teams. It's hard, man. It's hard. Sports is hard. I'm not giving anybody any excuses. They just got to figure it out. And they're starting to figure it out. Now they just flip so quick without taking accountability. Not even what they said, how they said. And the disdain that they said it with. And so now all of a sudden, Ohio State dog walks Tennessee. That's funny for a lot of reasons. I keep that to myself. And then Oregon, I always felt. Now, I was nervous. You're always nervous because I always say, especially, growing up, being cool with a lot of athletes and everything like that in college, you never know what is going to happen with kids between the ages of now 17 to 24 or young men. You don't even know what's going to happen with professionals, so anything can happen. So I always keep that in mind. But I honestly felt I told people when we played Oregon the first time, we played our worst game defensively. There were no blitzes, no kind of pressure because he was still Jim Knowles is still kind of playing conservative because he's implemented 75% of his defense, but he hasn't got to do the other 25. And he started to do the other after he started to implement it a little bit, even with that jack position. We'll get into that another time. But he started to implement it after that game. That sitting back and everything, nah, that ain't gonna work. But we played our worst game defensively. Turned the ball over a couple times, if I'm correct. And essentially, if Will slides down in time, you still have a chance to win the game in one of the toughest venues in America. So I always felt if we just straightened up half of that stuff, we were the better team. I honestly felt that way. Did I think we were going to jump out like that? No. In my mind, did I feel we could do damage to them like that? Yes. Maybe not 34-0 damage, but You know the great thing that they did? Let me tell you, because with Jim Knowles' defense, he runs the 4-2-5, but it's a hybrid of a 3-3-5 where sometimes the lineman could be a lineman slash linebacker, and he kind of moves them around as a chess piece and things of that nature. But he usually has 3 safeties. So when he first came to Ohio State, McAllister was the 3rd safety. It was Proctor, McAllister, and Hickman. Now, the 3 safeties, but really ones do it. They're all 3 interchangeable. Now the /3 safeties are Caleb Downs, the best safety in America. Latham Ransom. I'm sorry, bro. Latham Ransom, top 4 or 5 safety in the country, may be the hardest hitting safety, because he been on the heater. He knocked out Dylan Sampson. He knocked out Jordan James. He been putting people in the and you know what I'm saying, giving them that first aid kit. And then Jordan Hancock, who plays the slot but can play safety everywhere. And then finally they started letting Matthews in the game, number 24, who to me is probably the best cover corner that they got. But because you got Igbinosun and you also got Burke and you got those 3, it's hard, but you got to find a way to get them on the field. Just like Kenyatta Jackson, Houston, McDonald, like JT and Sawyer. And you know what? Ever since they've been rotating them in, they become fresher. So we still only rushed with 4. Now, they did blitz a little bit, but what they did is they just had Caleb as like a robber. So they may have went too deep, but they had Caleb as a robber. So he covered anywhere in the middle. And then you also had Cody spying at times. Cody Simon spying at times. So you basically, sometimes they only rush 3. And those lanes, and then for the most part, they kept their rush lanes. When Oregon made those, when they scored a couple times at the end of the half and also in the 3rd quarter, we got a little irresponsible with the rush lanes. But then after a while, we just start getting pressure on them with 4. But Caleb cut off a lot of those quick passes through the middle and everything. He was able to, and he could cover to the side, so he was able just to roam. And that's what just took that shit all out of whack. So when Dylan was looking where he wanted to go, Caleb was in the vicinity. Or Ransom was in the vicinity. So he had to hold the ball that extra second. And that's all they needed. So kudos to them. We play a Texas team whose offense has not been great. They've been struggling, but their defense is elite. It's the best secondary that we face. They're up there with Ohio State's. I mean, they have the Thorpe Award winner. Shout out to them. I still would I think Ohio State has the best defense. Their offensive line has struggled. And sometimes, anything can happen. You just look at teams. Sometimes you can see like a team, they're destined. They look like ain't nobody going to stop them. Now, we'll see, because I always said they're college kids. But Ohio State, they course correct. And now everybody, Sark tried to come out and say, we don't have a chance of this. No. And shout out to Texas, because, y'all in the SEC, but the SEC was talking a lot of stuff, but they claim Texas, but they don't want to claim Texas because Texas just came in there the first year and now they're the last one left. They really wanted Georgia to win, and they lost to Notre Dame. And so now they kind of got to get behind Texas, but they not behind Texas like that, because the 2 times Texas played Georgia, they lost. So they not that confident. But nah, Texas is a blue blood, and Quinn Ewers, he went to O State and all that good stuff, but he just went to get the money. We're not tripping about that. Go get your bread, kid. But they pose a lot of threats. Good tight end. I wonder if Bond's going to play. They're going to mix in some Archie Manning somewhere. But if we can get pressure with 4, same way I say I like Will Howard, but he can throw a couple. Ewers is going to throw you a couple. And then I'm predicting Ohio State to win by 14. Now, with Penn State, Notre Dame, whoever wins, first of all, it'll be the first time a black head coach is in the national championship game, which I'm proud for. And it sucks because I'm always, love to see the black head coaches do well. I mean, I'm still rooting for Old State. But Penn State, Notre Dame, they're both identical. Their offenses, Penn State could be more explosive. Notre Dame, somebody said something online, a former Old State football player, which made sense. Marcus Freeman played for the Ohio State, and his head coach was Jim Tressel. Notre Dame looks like a Jim Tressel-like team. Great defense. Riley Leonard looking like Craig Krenzel, kind of. Just making timely plays when he got to, which it irritates me a little bit. But against Penn State seems to have found something a little bit. But both of them they don't have really great offenses. But Penn State does a lot of window dressing. So if you're not prepared, they can catch you slipping. My homeboy Bob said Ohio State and Notre Dame was going to play in the championship. And I'm going to go with that. I agree with him. So Notre Dame wins 2017. Also, let me say this real quick. So I see the Jets are interviewing Rex Ryan. They got an interest in Arthur Smith, and they interviewed Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel's best offensive teams was when Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator. Rex Ryan and Arthur Smith, if they were to get the Jets job, they're going to get Justin Fields. Justin Fields will be their free agent quarterback. He will go to the Jets. They're going to structure that thing much better. I kind of want Arthur Smith if it was, because then he'll be in the same system. But all three of them run that kind. They don't have like an explosive offense. They run a tight knit, make sure you have a good defense. So hear me. If Rex Ryan or Arthur Smith gets the job, Justin Fields is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets next year. And he will have his buddy Garrett Wilson. If you ain't seen them, check out their history at Ohio State. As far as today, the games that's coming on, Cincinnati, I feel like it's going to beat Pittsburgh. Russ ain't had it. I feel like Justin's the better quarterback. Russell's a good story. I think he's really good. But like they said, he's like, kind of like a one-trick pony. Short, go to George Pickens. And the defense hasn't been playing good a lot. A couple times they let the lead go against Indianapolis and Dallas when Justin Fields played, but y'all didn't mention anything about that. Y'all said it was Fields. But with Russell, it's the defense, which we all agree. The defense has been elite, but the offense sometimes puts the defense in position to where they cannot be successful. And then sometimes the defense against the three elite teams didn't look like they belonged either. So they got to figure that out. So I think the Bengals beat Pittsburgh. Lamar puts on a show against Cleveland. He may not play like the fourth quarter. Tampa Bay wins. I think Atlanta wins. Penix looks great. Detroit will lose to the Minnesota Vikings. That's what I got for now. Wait till next week, and then I'll predict what may happen as far as playoffs, and also I already predict. I'll give y'all the final for the college football playoffs. Happy New Year, much health and wealth. Everybody be cool. It's a new year. If you want to change something, just do it little by little. Don't look at the time. Just try to improve every day. And you may look up in 60, 70 days and then notice the difference. Peace, man.